You've heard it in all the reviews. One of my favorite things about using any Samsung device is the display. It's well known that Samsung makes the best displays on the market today, and with every flagship, they just keep getting better. 9 to 5 Google. Samsung's displays remain the best you can get on any Android phone. The Verge. There's nothing to complain about as far as the display goes. IGN. That's what they all say, but I'm here to tell you that they're wrong. The Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus is not as good as they tell you. It's actually worse than the S8, and I can prove it, and also give you a solution to one of the issues. Oh, and Google Pixel 2 XL fans, your heads are going to explode. Hey friends, this is Brandon from This Is Tech Today, your source for honest tech reviews and how-tos that respect your time. Last year, upon the release of the Google Pixel 2 XL, there was a lot of drama about the display. And a lot of people said that all this would have been resolved if they went with a Samsung display instead of an LG display. I performed a ton of tests on the Pixel 2 XL and released a ton of videos on it, which you can check out up here. Here's the crazy part. A lot of the issues on the Pixel 2 XL, they're on the S9 and S9 Plus. Let me show you two of them and a solution to one of them. First, the black crush. The Pixel 2 XL had a lot of issues with that, which you can check out here. This is an issue where the darker areas of whatever is being displayed on the screen will fall off in an uneven manner or go completely black when you lower the screen brightness. In the shot, you can see how the dark areas of the hair and the background become black blobs the darker the screen brightness becomes. It seems to really reveal itself once you drop below 50%. And then you can see in this comparison between the lowest brightness and the highest brightness setting how the details of the hair and the texture in the background objects disappear. When we look at specific colors that drop off the most at the lowest brightness, it looks like the reds followed by the green and the blues are the ones to suffer. That sounds like RGB, right? Now to get more specific and a bit more objective of how the crush is affected by screen brightness, we'll use this chart right here. And you can get your hands on it by checking the link down below in the description or follow me on Twitter at This Is Tech Today. At 100%, it looks like square 3 is just barely visible. When we decrease the brightness to 75%, it looks like square 4 is just barely visible. When we go down to 50%, it looks like square 5 is just slightly visible. And then at 40%, it looks like square 5 is barely visible, and there's a big drop off here. At 25%, it looks like square 7 is slightly visible, and then once we go down to the lowest setting, 1%, it looks like square 7 is barely visible. Now there is kind of a fix for it, and we'll look at that after we look at this next issue. It's the black smear, and this is something that the Pixel 2 XL was plagued with as well. Essentially what's happening is when you're scrolling, the pixels are not able to turn on and off fast enough when you have a black image displayed. This is amplified the lower your brightness is, and because of this, you will end up having kind of a jelly look to some of the images. Let's look at some tests, and just keep in mind that this was recorded at a high frame rate and slowed down 50%. Here, we'll look at the logo of the Moment Lens Twitter account, which is black, and we'll progressively see that the black background of that logo will bleed into the background of the Twitter app. As expected, at 100% and 75%, we don't really notice too much black smear. Where we start to see it is when we reach the 50% or less brightness levels. So now we're starting to see that jelly look or that black smear. And you'll probably notice this when you're maybe looking at your phone when you're going to bed and you don't want to have your display up all the way. And once we reach the 1%, the black smear is severely distracting. Yikes. So is this a deal breaker for you? It's interesting because I went to Best Buy earlier this week and I looked at a bunch of different phones with OLED panels, specifically Samsung phones. I looked at the Note 8, I looked at the S8, the S8 Plus, the S9 and S9 Plus, and the S9 and S9 Plus are the only ones that have this issue. The Pixel 2, and I'm not talking about the Pixel 2 XL, but the Pixel 2 doesn't even have this issue, and that one's a Samsung panel. So why does Samsung have this issue on their newest flagship device, but not any of their previous ones? This seems like a step backwards. So I do have a fix for the black crush, but unfortunately not the smear. It is software based, and it's using the Screen Balance app. So to get it, go down into the description, find the link, right click on it and open into a new window. And while you're down there, could you give me a thumbs up and subscribe? I'd really appreciate it. Now this app makes a huge difference. Remember that square grid image? Look at how big of a difference it makes. I spent a bit of time finding out the best settings that you can use for it, and here are the settings that seem to work the best. Fluorescent or fluorescent warm, white balance strength at 30 to 35%, contrast all the way at 100%, and brightness all the way at 0%. It's kind of a big deal, right? Now I'm not 100% sure if this will have an effect on your battery or not, and here's why. OLED panels are great for battery life because black pixels are completely turned off. If this Screen Balance app is just slightly turning on the black pixels to avoid some of the issues that we found in this video, well, you lose that power saving ability. Ultimately, you'll have to decide which one is more important to you, but here's my opinion. In my time using the S9 Plus, the battery is not really good. I can't really go through even half a day without having to plug it in. And don't get me wrong, it is one of the best displays out there, but to say it's the best or it's near perfect is just simply not true. It really comes down to what ultimately matters the most to you in a phone, and for me, despite my love of photography and videography, the display is not the most important thing for me on my phone. And I'll touch on that in my long-term review coming out in May. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when I post that. This really adds an interesting point to the Pixel 2 XL discussion about the display and how many wish that there was a Samsung display used instead. At least the S9 Plus doesn't have any blue shift. Perhaps it is true that the saturation mode that was added to the Pixel 2 XL pretty much fixed most of the issues to make it seem as good as a Samsung display, at least when we compare it to the S9 Plus. And this all brings up another issue that I found with the S9 Plus, the speakers. If you want to check out that video, go ahead and click the playlist off to the side for any of the other tests that I make, and feel free to leave some comments on some tests you'd like me to perform. And then check the playlist below that for any tips and accessory reviews for the S9 Plus. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, and check out the Patreon link in my description. Thanks for watching This is Tech Today, your source for honest tech reviews and how-tos that respect your time. Until next time.